welcome to the show. We start this week's Failrace episode. This is a clip from me, actually, while we were trying to load in to a multiplayer race. You see, we were racing at Kyalami, and the game decided I should just fall through the floor. Should note, at this point I hadn't even selected a car, it just put me in a Subaru Levorg that decided to fall through the floor. The only reason I can think it picked this car is this is the car that was in like the sort of showroomy bit in the menus for me. But yeah, that's a helpful one. That's a really helpful one. Valentine is up next on Forza Motorsport. They are doing a race at Maple Valley and they are not paying attention to what's going on up ahead. Now, I don't know if there's an AI car that's not moved off the start line or an AI car that stopped at the end of the first lap. Whatever it was, they didn't see it in time. To be fair, you don't necessarily expect a car stopped there and proceed to get carried down the road by everyone else. Yeah, not the, say, start to a race that you particularly want. We're on to Forza Horizon 5 next, with the Mustang travelling at a pretty great speed, going for the danger sign, going for the big jump. Now, in the arena, there is an event going on, and I guess I never really thought about it, but there is an invisible hitbox above the trucks. So, you end up with a floaty Mustang. It's not quite what's supposed to go on, however, it's, well, there. Mr. Cashew up next on Gran Turismo is finding the danger of bollards. Unfortunately, Gran Turismo does like to reset cars far too quickly to really, you know, enjoy these rolls. I mean, this is nearly an hour into a race as well, I should point out. Yeah, the Mercedes, all it takes is a clip on that bollard. I mean, it's a bit of a raised curb already, but still, it's a... Yeah, bollards are dangerous in this game. That is a mighty, mighty tumble. We move next. Mr. Tree is on Car X Drift, going for messing around with the, what is this, BRZ I think it is. Doesn't quite get things right, bumps off a wall, and then proceeds to get confused by how to deal with floor. I mean, it's you always approve of a roll during one of these, but... Yeah, the weird twitch off of the ground didn't help much. Not the Bees is up next on Need for Speed Underground 2. Now, they are doing one of the drag races. It's difficult for, say, two unusual things to have gone on in this one, with the player leading by a mile. However, as they head up towards the finish line, they hit the jump, bounce on the landing, and finish on their roof. And amazingly also, not only do they finish on their roof, they come back to land on their wheels afterwards. That is a Failrace approved ending right there. Twinny up next on Wreckfest has crossed the finish line to take a victory. Everything is normal, but for some reason, the rear wheels of their car have vanished. They sort of tap the wall after the finish line, and apparently that's just enough to make the rear wheels vanish on the Speed Demon. I think that's what it's called, if I remember correctly. They just pinged off. I mean, the vehicle's still driving around. Just a bit of a weird visual bug going on with that one. Principled Foe up next on Construction Simulator. They're trying to do some work. I don't quite know what they're trying to do with the truck, but what I do know is while they are trying to line this up and get it all set, that's not supposed to happen. They did reverse a little bit too far and bump the digger. However, in doing so, things have freaked out and now the truck is wedged in the sky. And that is not how any of the physics is supposed to work. Speaking of, Steel Guns is up next on Cyberpunk. Now, they are calling in a vehicle. This can go wrong many, many different ways. So, the vehicle turns up over there. They go to call it back in because they're lazy and don't want to walk over to it. And now it's just falling from the sky. Now what we've got is an airdrop sort of a thing. I didn't actually know that one could happen. I've seen weird things happen with Cyberpunk cars, but I've never seen them just fall from the sky, like, for that manner anyway. Sapling up next on Far Cry 6 has found some weird physicsy horses. This one unfortunately gets run over by the truck, proceeds to do some cartwheels out away from the road. I'm not quite sure how or why that one, you know, the wildlife does sometimes run around in Far Cry and gets in the way of roads and gets in trouble, but but it's cleared itself out of the way of the road, I guess. It's very weird. Very, very weird horse. But there we go. User Lame is up next on SnowRunner. Now, they are trying to, I guess, recover this vehicle. I don't quite know what their grand plan is here, but their grand plan is to try and push it off the hill down towards the bottom. Someone keeps pressing pause on physics. Now, I'm no expert. This shouldn't work. I'm going to guess something to do with the way the vehicle is spawning. Basically, if the player goes close enough, it kind of lets the physics carry on. Sort of like pausing physics in Beam. But you have to get close enough to move it, and then, well, the player gets a bit carried away, and they're on a steep hill, and their truck goes for a big tumble. The one they're trying to rescue actually does come to a standstill. But the recovery has not gone particularly well to plan. And we're still going to roll, and there we go. I presume this is a scout truck and might be able to winch itself back onto its wheels, but still, yeah, that's not really gone how anybody wanted it to. So there we go. That's the end of that truck. And finally, we have got X90 on Assetto Corsa with some of the hypercars having issues. I think this is at the Miami Grand Prix circuit. The Toyota just brushes the wall, pings or spins around, pings off of it, then brushes one wall, gets launched to the other, and then just sort of spins around wildly. Yeah, clonk the inside wall, and then there's all manners of spinning around, and then we bounce over a couple of cars, and just general mess. Even fast circuits with walls either side are never great. This car getting too close, actually also, it's just magnetically attracted to those walls as it's trying to get going. But yes, I think it goes for an overtake on the Cadillac, gets it a little bit wrong, and it all goes wrong from there, bouncing around. There's not so much you can do back here. I'm not sure which cars are players and which are AIs, but the speed at which that gets pinged across the track. This car, for an example, stood absolutely no chance. You know, there's nothing you're going to be able to do to avoid that one, because you're not expecting it to suddenly violently spin all the way across the circuit. This was on board with another car. This was even further back. You see it gets sort of spun off and try and slow down and launch onto this one. Yeah, just one of those chain reaction crashes on a narrow circuit. Could have gone worse though, to be fair. But there we go. That is going to be it for this episode. As ever, if you have clips you'd like to submit to this series, you can via a Google form. There'll be a link to it in the description. All the rules and how it works can be found on there. That, though, is going to be it from me. Thank you all very much for watching, and until next time, goodbye.